I mean, he looked different from other teachers, he wore jeans, he was cool, he had the long flowing hair No, he was the teacher that all the male remember, the voice behind Kiss from a Rose, the man who married supermodel Heidi Klum. At 62, Seal just released his first original song in 10 years, but something's wrong. He barely leaves his house anymore. His kids barely see him. His panic attacks have gotten worse. And the man who once sold 15 million albums says he doesn't trust anyone anymore. The truth about why will break your heart. That's just the nature of the business. And one of the clips they showed was of me shouting. In actual fact, I don't even think I was shouting. Seal's life didn't begin with comfort or celebration. He was born on February 19th, 1963 in Paddington, London, into chaos. His Nigerian mother was struggling to survive. His Brazilian father wasn't around, and just days after entering the world, he was sent away, not for a weekend or a year, but possibly forever. His parents gave him up, handing him to a white foster family in Essex. No warning, no goodbyes, just gone. Those early years in Essex were quiet, even peaceful, but they were also disconnected. Seal was being raised by strangers who didn't look like him, didn't share his background, and couldn't help him understand who he really was. For 4 years, that was his world. Then, just as suddenly as she disappeared, his biological mother came back and she took him. That reunion wasn't warm. It was confusing. A 4-year-old boy was ripped from the only life he knew and tossed back into one that felt unfamiliar and unstable. That back and forth would scar him deeply. He learned that love could vanish, that people leave, that nothing lasts. But things got worse. When Seal was 6, he was sent to live with his father in Kilburn. That chapter was hell. His father didn't just discipline him. He beat him regularly, viciously. It wasn't occasional or out of anger. It was constant. Seal was hit so often that pain became routine. And he didn't just suffer alone. He saw his father abuse others in the house, too. There was no safety, no peace, just survival. He lived like that for 9 years. From age 6 to 15, violence was his normal. Every day he had to figure out how to avoid another beating, how to keep himself sane, how to stay alive inside. Somehow he did. And when he couldn't take it anymore, he ran. At 15, Seal walked away from the only home he had. Even though it meant homelessness, he would rather face cold streets than his father's fists. That decision wasn't reckless. It was smart. It was survival. But now he had a new battle. Finding food, shelter, and enough work to make it through each day. He became a bike messenger, zipping through dangerous London traffic. He flipped burgers, took odd jobs, slept rough. There were no guarantees, no comfort, just grit. And if all that wasn't enough, he was also dealing with something else. Lupus. The disease left scars across his face, deep and visible. Kids at school noticed. And they didn't show kindness. They bullied him. Every day they mocked the way he looked, turned his illness into a weapon, and made school just another place he had to survive. He was already fighting at home. Now he had to fight at school too. But over time, something changed. The scars that once marked him for cruelty became part of his strength. They made him different, but powerful. He stopped hiding. He stopped apologizing. He wore them like armor. Seal's life didn't follow a normal path. Most people his age were thinking about university, or friends, or dating. He was trying to stay alive, trying to keep warm, trying not to break. But what makes his story unforgettable is that he didn't just survive, he transformed. On his 21st birthday, Seal noticed a small spot on his face. At first, it didn't seem like much, but that tiny patch grew into the deep coin-shaped scars that would define his face forever. What was going on? Doctors couldn't explain it right away. Eventually, they gave it a name, discoid lupus erythematosus. It's a rare autoimmune condition that mostly affects the skin, especially the face, scalp, and ears. And only about 20% of all lupus patients have this type. In Seal's case, the disease left. Permanent scars. Just as he was stepping into adulthood, his face was being reshaped by something totally out of his control. It didn't stop there. One day, he felt such intense pain and panic, he was sure he was dying. His chest hurt. He couldn't breathe, and he thought he was having a heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital, but it wasn't his heart. It was his lupus flaring up for the first time. That episode changed everything. Even though discoid lupus doesn't usually attack the organs like systemic lupus does, Seal's experience was still terrifying. The fear stuck with him, the panic, the confusion. It led to anxiety and panic attacks that he's had to manage ever since. It was supposed to be the milder version of lupus, but it nearly broke him. The scars weren't just physical. At first, Seal hated what he saw in the mirror. He felt ashamed, even traumatized. He worried how anyone would ever accept him, especially in the music industry where looks mattered so much. He was chasing a dream, but now he looked different from everyone else. There were moments he wanted to hide, but slowly something changed. He stopped seeing the scars as a curse. They became his signature. He said what was initially traumatizing turned out to be something that made me instantly recognizable. The thing that almost ended his career before it began ended up making him unforgettable. Still, not everyone understood. As his fame grew, so did the rumors. People made up wild stories. Some claimed he got into a knife fight. Others thought it was a motorcycle crash. One of the strangest that a wolf bit him. But the most common and most offensive rumor was that he had tribal scars from Nigeria. Seal shut that down many times. He told Jet magazine, people want the scars to be tribal scars. That's just the nature of the media and people's imaginations. It hurt. These weren't cultural symbols or battle wounds. They were the result of a painful disease. But the truth didn't seem to matter. The mystery added to his fame, even if it added to his pain over time. Seal made peace with his reflection. He realized that the body isn't who we truly are. That idea freed him. He even said he was lucky. Others with systemic lupus have organs damaged, face deadly complications, and suffer in ways he didn't. His scars were visible. Yes, but he could live with them. And live he did.